Well, good evening, everybody. I hope you all had a great Tuesday. This is student forecaster Stephen Boyle for Northeast Weather Center. Well, we do have some quite active weather going on across the Central Plains this evening. Some pretty intense snow, some very intense severe weather starting to break out. Very interesting temperature gradient. Temperatures ahead of this storm. Today we're into the mid 80s. Behind this into the 30s. I mean, that's almost a 50-degree temperature difference. Some very interesting stuff. Also, we have what we call a quasi-stationary front here. Basically, it's kind of set up like this. And down in here, the front is able to move, but up in here, it's more stationary. All right, eventually this will move, but in here, it's basically dividing the temperatures of more seasonable to cooler conditions up and through New England, while temperatures south of here are maybe 80, 85, maybe some areas approaching near 90 degrees. So basically, this is basically blocking the summer-like warmth from reaching New England, which is, in my opinion, great. So basically, we have some flood and rains coming in through portions of the through Wisconsin areas like this. Um, so yeah, that's what it's looking like right now. Um, we also have we have a little surface feature coming in here tonight. A little disturbance that's kind of giving us some rain. There's actually a band of rain that has already formed into portions of central Massachusetts. This is kind of moving through the area, eventually moving through, but the main batch is still yet to come through. This is some serious rain. This could be moving through sometime during the overnight hours or even into the morning tomorrow morning. Here's our snow, and this is some serious stuff. Okay, this is the snow that's breaking out into portions of Minnesota. This is absolutely intense. I mean, we're having like snows coming down in here at rates of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 inches an hour. The ones are really into the lighter greens. The yellows are at least 2 inches an hour. We're probably talking close to 4, 5, 6 inches an hour in through these areas. This is some major stuff. What's actually happening is we're kind of getting some storms kind of forming, and what's going on here is these are kind of getting brought into the band of snow that we have, and it's actually creating some very interesting stuff for these folks. We have a band of thunderstorms as well into Kansas, and this is some serious stuff blowing up. We also have an area of thunderstorms into northern Mexico, or Texas, I mean. We also have the patch of snow into portions of the panhandle of Texas. And basically, you can see where this low pressure is. It's basically where I said it was going to be, basically over La Junta, Colorado, or La Junta Low. And this is going to kind of be moving like this across the country, right along that stationary front. Okay, but things get a little bit more interesting as we get closer to the northeast. And this is our actual surface map. We have that little low pressure that's kind of moving along that surface feature. Okay, this is really where our stationary front is. And it looks as though as this is trying to etch its way a little bit to the north here, it may succeed. And if that does happen, we could be talking about mid-70s tomorrow into southern New England. But again, we're not going to be talking about the 80-degree temperatures, 80, 85-degree temperatures that we have into the mid-Atlantic. And actually, what's going to probably end up happening is this little surface feature is going to move through, and that's actually going to probably force this stationary front a little bit further to the south. So it's probably not going to succeed. We also have an area of high pressure in Canada. Okay, and remember we also have a clockwise flow around that. So basically, that's also kind of etching in a little bit cooler air from eastern Canada. Although it's not major cold, it's definitely helping in keeping this stationary front repressed and the heat staying south. So that's part of the reason why as well. And you can see our low pressure system forming near La Junta, Colorado. Alright, so that's what it looks like. Let's kind of move on here, and you can see this is the satellite imagery. In Holy Toledo, things are blowing up, especially in Kansas. I mean, you can really see things are just blowing up in here, and also near Texas and Oklahoma. But look at this instability up in Minnesota. That's where the snow is falling, and let me tell you something. That is some intense stuff up there. Well, here's our little disturbance that's moving through the northeast. This is again going to probably keep things cooler for New England. And like I said, it's moving along our stationary. Whoops, that's too far south. It's more like this. Okay. And basically, it'll keep it kind of a little bit more repressed into some areas. So that's what it's looking like right now. And again, this whole entire system, all right, our little La Junta low is going to kind of move like this, okay, and it looks as though as we're going to probably have what we call a triple point low. There's going to probably be a low back out here, a low here, and a low here, okay. So basically we're going to have 3 lows in one system, okay. This will be the main driving factor, but this is actually going to strengthen. This kind of weakens. Okay, actually these two kind of become one low, and this is going to become another low. So basically, at one point we will have a triple point with a low here, a low here, and a low here, but eventually these two just kind of become one low, and this kind of moves up like this, okay, along the coast, along the 40-70 benchmark, but that doesn't necessarily mean that folks in interior New England are going to be seeing any snow. Higher elevations will be mainly dealing with that snow, the Berkshires, and again, interior New Hampshire, Maine, and Vermont will be seeing that nice snow. But I wouldn't even be surprised if some lower elevations saw a few flakes mixing in, maybe even some areas possibly seeing a coating. But for the most part, I don't expect anything really in lower elevations. Higher elevations will really be dealing with some pretty nice stuff with this storm as far as snow. Okay, let's look at the NAM now, and basically this is what it's looking like. Okay, so we have the NAM, and here's our little La Junta low forming out in Colorado that's kind of being ejected into the plains, giving these folks tomorrow some pretty nasty thunderstorms. Now, what's also interesting to note is along this stationary front, along and south of it, basically in Pennsylvania, Ohio, and New Jersey, I would watch out for the potentials of maybe a few scattered severe thunderstorms tomorrow. What's going to end up happening is we have some pretty interesting instability, what we call CAPE. All right, and I'll even show you the CAPE values. This is not a model, as some people alluded to on Facebook. Not a model. It is a input, or it's an output that the model puts out, just like snow and all this other stuff. So here's our CAPE values tomorrow. This is at 1 p.m. and basically you can see highest CAPE values are centered towards the southern portions of the mid-Atlantic. Alright, so if you live in southern Jersey, I would say southern PA going through Ohio down into Virginia, West Virginia, you have a very good shot at potentially seeing some good thunderstorms, scattered thunderstorms. Again, the main stuff is back out in here in the Midwest, but again, north of that stationary front, which is basically right here, okay, once you get north of that, going in through New England, I would not expect any thunderstorms. None whatsoever. And if we do see a thunderstorm, it will not be of severe nature. All right, again, the optimal conditions that you normally see for severe thunderstorms will not be in place. Okay, so again, some of these thunderstorms might last through the evening hours, maybe even into the overnight hours. Okay, but again, notice how the Cape values are just absolutely way too low for New England to get into any of this action. If anything, it would be through these areas. But even that's pretty low. These values are quite low. And then here comes the event for Thursday. I believe here's what happens on Thursday. And again, the Cape values are not all that great. Okay, these are pretty low. But again, it looks better in through Virginia and also in through these areas. There could be some interesting stuff. But for the most part, I don't expect a lot of severe weather as far as things go with that Thursday system. And then again, it just lifts out, and I don't expect much of anything. Okay, but that generally gives you an indication of what's going on with the potentials of severe weather. And I'll even show you the jet stream pattern for you, for those who are interested. I know a lot of us don't really care about it, but here's our little trough back out in here. This is associated with our little low pressure system that's going to kind of get ejected out in here. Basically, you can really clearly see where that stationary front is. Basically, these guys up in here are not being affected as much by the southwesterly flow that's coming in through New Jersey. And again, right along that front, that's where we could be talking about the potentials of a little bit of severe weather tomorrow. All right, now moving onward. All right, there goes that storm. All right, and what ends up happening? Notice how this low is weakening. That means there's either another low in here and then another low in here. But basically, what this is indicating is that we're going to be having a transfer of energy because this low is weakening. Okay, so notice how strong it is back out in here, and then it ends up basically just becoming almost nothing. So basically you can see also our trough coming through as well. Okay, so basically that means cooler air draining down from Canada and also from the west. So basically we have winds coming in like this, okay, which ultimately that means some chilly conditions, cooler conditions, not all that warm for these folks. So that's what it's looking like right now. That's the NAM. Moving on, let's look at the GFS. Let's look at the surface. We're also going to look at the Cape values. And again, the Cape is just generally showing as far as instability goes, where the instability and convection is highest. So here is your little storm system that's moving through tonight along that front. So basically, this is the low right along the stationary front. Actually, it's probably somewhere in here, and it's just moving along like that. Heavy rain, maybe a few rumbles of thunder tomorrow, or overnight tonight. Here comes another little feature moving along the stationary front, and again, some rain, probably a few embedded thunderstorms, but nothing severe. All right, now if we look at the Cape values tomorrow, notice how they're pretty high. Especially the GFS shows that these Cape values are going to be pretty intense through the Mid-Atlantic. No Cape in New England, so that generally shows you no severe weather. Absolutely none in New England. So if you hear anybody saying, "Oh, there's going to be severe weather in New England," no, there's not going to be severe weather in New England. No, I don't even think there's going to be any regular thunderstorms. These folks, though, could really be talking about some pretty nasty stuff, and also nasty stuff in Virginia tomorrow. Alright, so that moves along, and again, here's the Cape values for overnight tomorrow night, and as that heavy rain is moving through, it's showing absolutely no Cape, so I would even be surprised. I mean, there could be a few rumbles of thunder, but for the most part, I don't anticipate much in the way of thunder. Not much. Here's what happens on Thursday, and again, there is a chance of some thunderstorms back out into the Ohio River Valley, maybe a few scattered strong ones in through Virginia, but the highest of the potentials are down into the southeast. But again, maybe a few some thunderstorms back up in here. We'll see what happens with that. That moves along through, and then we get our main coastal, or we get our main system that forms, and yes, all right, this is actually showing kind of a triple point low. Don't know if it'll be a triple point or if it'll be a just a normal two low pressure systems. But for the most part, though, this does show eventually just one low pressure, or two low pressures. All right, but this is definitely a major trend for the GFS, as it is showing a European solution now. It's moving up along the benchmark. All right, now the difference here with the GFS is that the precip isn't all that intense. It doesn't show really anything major. But again, we'll see some rain, some chilly conditions on Friday. Again, some interior snow is possible, and again, not any major warm-ups, at least from what I can see for the foreseeable future. Probably some additional rain in the forecast as well. So that's what the GFS is looking like. Finally, the Euro. This is again what the Euro is looking like. And there's our little Hunter low coming in through Colorado. That starts getting ejected in through the Midwest, so you can see fairly clearly. There's our low. Okay, snow back up on this part of the part of the system. All right, you can see tomorrow morning maybe some rain showers, a few rumbles of thunder in a few areas, possibly. Tomorrow afternoon, possibly some thunderstorms breaking out along and south of the stationary front. So basically, our stationary front is set up right in here. These areas would be at greatest risk, especially these areas. Okay, so watch out for a few scattered showers and thunderstorms. And again, the Euro is showing some pretty heavy rain tomorrow, overnight, for some possible, yet again, a third round of rain. So basically, we had a round last night, we have another round tonight, and a round tomorrow night that we have to go through before we talk about our main storm system coming in here. Looks like it's going to start maybe lightly Friday as we're waking up, but for the most part, most of the heaviest precip comes in Friday afternoon through the evening hours. Again, interior sections, that's where we're going to be talking about the potentials of snow, and again, higher elevations as well. Lower elevations and interior sections, I wouldn't expect any snow. If it is, it would just be a few flakes mixing in with the rain. Maybe a few sleet pellets, maybe a few freezing raindrops. But for the most part, this exits out with nothing much of wintry precip, and not much in the way of a lot more rain. But again, northern areas will be dealing with the most as far as snowfall goes. And that moves out, and basically there could be another brief burst of warmth that comes in, but for the most part, nothing major. Maybe another front. Here's my thoughts on the storm. Severe weather down into the southern portions of the Northeast, possibly some of the strongest severe storms into the Ohio River Valley portions of Kentucky. Heavy rain and thunderstorms moving through PA, most of New England. Snow is what it's looking like in through the Northeast. 4 to 8 inches into the blue area. All right. 8 to 12, maybe up to 15 inches into this purple area, and then 15 to 18 in through these red areas. And again, these are into some of the highest of the elevations. And again, for those folks wondering about elevation, generally you'll see most of your snow at 500 to 500 feet and above. If you live below 500 feet, basically you might see just a few flakes, but that would be it. So that's what it's looking like right now. Again, ping pink area, coat into a few inches, mostly rain. This blue area, 4 to 8 inches, maybe a little bit of mix. And then talking about into this purple area, significant amounts of snow with at least 6 to 8 inches, with possibly up to 12 to 15. And then again into these little areas in here, and also into the rooftop of Maine and into portions of Michigan, at least 12 inches, with the potentials to see up to 18 inches. So that's what it's looking like right now as far as everything goes. I hope you all have a great rest of your Tuesday, and we'll be back tomorrow with another update. Take care, everyone.